Hello wine people, in this video I will explain how to taste wine using the WSET Level 2 in wine systematic approach to tasting. This is the way that I learned how to taste wine. I'm a WSET educator. I passed all the WSET wine tasting exams, so I think I have few tips and tricks that will help you to become a better taster. Please consider subscribing if this video helps you to become a better taster. This will help us to create more videos like this in the future. So let's start. I learned how to taste wine, and I learned about wine through WSET courses, and in this video I will explain you how to taste wine WSET way with the WSET Level 2 in wine systematic approach to tasting. I think this is a great way to learn wines, especially for people that are not wine professionals, that are not in the wine trade, and to understand everything behind the wine tasting and understanding the purpose of the wine tasting. So my recommendation for this video is you can watch it without wines, you can watch it with wines. I recommend to watch the video first without wines, just see what the video is all about, and then if you decide, you can buy wines that I recommend and taste the wines. I don't recommend any brands or any particular wines. I just recommend the style of wine that you should buy. So my recommendation is to have two wine glasses, where these wine glasses you can taste wine side by side. So two white wines side by side, two red wines side by side. Have pen and paper to write your tasting notes, and then below you can download the WSET Level 2 in wine systematic approach to tasting. Recommendation for the wines that you can use during the tasting is a simple Pinot Grigio from a cool climate, $5 to $10 wine, ideally from northern Italy somewhere. A young vintage, so like 2023, 2022. A complex Chardonnay from a warm climate, maybe something from Australia, from Chile, you know, to have a better value, around $20 from a older vintage, so maybe something like 2018. For red wines, simple Pinot Noir or a Beaujolais grape. So Beaujolais would be ideal, something that's going to be light, simple, and fruity from a close vintage. Around $10 to $15, and then a complex Cabernet Sauvignon from a warm climate from a older vintage. I'll explain in this video. I'll explain the purpose of the tasting of the wine. I will explain you how to prepare properly for the tasting, and then we'll go into detail about how the wines look, appearance, nose, palate, and conclusion about wine. So the first part of the video I will use to explain a little bit the tasting part, and then on the end of the video I'll show you how the systematic approach to tasting for the four wines looks like. So this video is a very good guide for you to how to taste and understand understand the tasting of the wine. So what is the purpose of the systematic approach to tasting? In a simple term, it's a wine language. So if you go to any country that you don't speak the language, it's going to be very difficult for you to communicate. The same thing is with the wine language. There's wine terms, slangs that you don't understand if you're in the environment of wine people, and I understand it can be frustrating and snobby sometimes, but I mean there's logic behind all this, and you know it's like a new language. You just need to learn it and understand it. There's a practical side of it. You know, you want to understand the style and you want to understand the price. When I said about it, it's like a new language. One of the most I think challenging part in the wine industry is wine communication, and what does it mean. So if you don't have a good communication, it's very difficult to explain the product. It's difficult to explain the style of the wine, basically style of the wines, how the wine looks like, how does it smell, how does it taste, how you describe the quality. So these are all terms that you need to use, to differentiate wines from one another. And also you'll understand the price of the wine. What I want for people to have is for them to have better value money for their money. So I don't want you to overpay for the wines just because it's a brand or for the appellation or for whatever. You should get the value for money. And I think when you understand better the styles of wine that you enjoy, when you understand a little bit better the regions and the grapes that you should be looking for, then you can have better value for money. Business or pleasure? This skill is not just for wine professionals. This skills is for wine professionals, of course, but for wine consumers as well. You want to enjoy wine more, and you want to have better value for money. So that is the point for you. Thinking versus drinking. When you drink wine, you don't actually think about wine. You just drink it, and I think when you're just drinking wine, if you don't really understand it, you're not getting the enjoyment of wine, and life is too short not to enjoy wine better. The main difference between drinking and tasting and enjoying wine, when you understand wine better, you're gonna enjoy it more. Always when we talk about wine tasting here, you'll see you're gonna ask yourself why. I'm gonna be talking about color, aromas, structure, acidity, alcohol, tannin, sweetness. And the question that you want to ask is always why. Why does wine have this tannin or acidity or sweetness? Why? And I'll explain you in this video what does this mean. Preparing for the tasting, you want a room that has good lighting. Natural light is the best. No strong odors. You don't want any aroma to interfere with the aroma of the wine. You want to have nice space to feel comfortable, where you can put your glasses, wines, notes, and spittoon. You want to have a clean palate, nothing to interfere with the flavor of the wine. Nice glassware, a nice white wine glass that's not too big, has a nice clean cut and a narrow rim. And you want, when you taste wine, you want to pour 50 ml. This is something that's standard. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. Okay, so let's start into the systematic approach to tasting. The first thing that we judge, that we assess, is the appearance of the wine. So we assess three things: clarity, intensity, and color. And I have also, don't worry, it's not just words. I have also some nice pictures that I think will bring more light into the explanation. So clarity, you want the wines to be clear. You don't want any haziness in the wine. You don't want anything to interfere with the color of the wine. So most of the wines are going to be clear. Intensity will be pale, medium, and deep. Intensity of the color means how much the color does the wine have. So how much color does the wine have? So usually with white wines that are from a cool climate, that are youthful, they're going to be paler in color. White wines that are older and have more contact with oak and oxygen will be more deeper in color. For red wines, thin skin grape varieties like Pinot Noir, Gamay will produce wines that are paler in color because of the thin skin of the grape. And then thick skin grape varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah, for example, will have deeper color because of that thicker skin. Color for the wines: for white it can be lemon green, lemon gold, amber, and brown. For rosé it can be pink, pink orange, and orange. For red it can be purple and ruby. Sometimes wines are purple because they have a purple color. Sometimes wines are red in color. Garnet indicates aging, tawny, and brown. So I have two nice pictures of white and a red wine. Thank you for this. Is a great picture of wine folly that will really help you understand the difference in color of the wine and what does it mean. So on the picture here on the left, you can actually see the different colors of white wines, rosé wines here in the middle, and then what happens to red wines with age. Okay, so this is a picture of white wine. On the left side, you see a pale lemon color. Pale lemon color will indicate youthful wine from a cool climate that doesn't have contact with oak or oxygen. A deeper color wine will indicate older wine that have that's maybe coming from a warmer climate, skin contact, aging in oak. Youthful wine will be more pale, so less color and paler color. And then older wine will be more deep and more golden, and then even brown on the end. For red wines, we explained the intensity of the color, but what happens to the color? So a youthful wine will be purple and red when it's young, and then as it ages, it will become more garnet. Garnet means transformation from purple and ruby to brown. So a little bit of browning, it's garnet, and then the wine will be garnet on the end. Just notice the way that you're gonna judge the color of white wines is you tilt the glass at 45 degrees and you have a white background. This is the best way to judge the color. And white wine, the color you're gonna actually judge at the rim of the glass. Sorry, my mistake. At the core of the glass, so in the middle of the glass. This is where white wines have the most of the color. At the rim, it's pretty much going to be watery. Red wines, you're going to judge the color of the wine at the rim. At the center, at the core of the glass, the wines are going to be dark and you don't actually see the color of the wine. The best way to judge the color of the wine is here at the rim, on the top, at the rim of the glass. Okay, so like I said, youthful wine will be purple, ruby, and then as it ages, it's going to be brown. What happens to the color of the wine for white and red wines? White wines gain color during aging. So in 50 years, the wine will, wine that is pale lemon will be brown. In 50 years, a red wine that is purple and maybe deep purple or deep ruby will be medium brown. So in 50 years you will not understand actually if the wine is it a white wine or a red wine. White wine doesn't really tell you much for white wines. It doesn't give you a lot of clues, like I said, these things, but you cannot actually tell the grape potential grape variety of the wine with color. For the red wines, it gives you a little bit of clues. If it's more paler color, it means thinner skin grape varieties, most probably. If it's deeper in color, it is most probably thicker skin grape varieties. Aromas and flavors. So this is something that you will smell and taste on the nose or on the palate. The difference is difference between aromas and flavors. Aromas you smell on the nose. Flavors you taste on the palate when the flavor goes on the olfactory bulb, which is basically the backside of your nose. So what are we doing when we are judging the nose and the palate of the wine? First of all, we are considering several stuff, but let's break it down. Let me just explain the primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas in general, and then on the end of the video I will actually give you a detailed vocabulary of these aromas. So primary aromas are aromas that the wines have after fermentation. So fermentation creates these primary aromas, and these primary aromas are mostly fruits, flowers, herbaceousness. Secondary aromas are aromas of winemaking. Three main main winemaking aromas are oak, lees, and malolactic conversion. So oak is, you'll get this, aromas of vanilla, coconut, cedarwood. Lees, you'll get contacts of like biscuit, like bread, like brioche. And then malolactic conversion will give you this lactic aromas of cream, yogurt, and cheese. So this is the secondary aromas. Tertiary aromas are aromas that the wine develops in a bottle. So it takes time for the wine to spend in the bottle to age in order for this tertiary aromas to develop. For white wines, it's usually dried fruit and like nutty kind of aromas, like walnuts and nuts. And for red wines, it's like dried red fruit and leathery and dried leafy aromas. So what do we do? What are we looking for when we're judging these aromas and flavor? First of all, we're looking for the character and clarity. The more clear the aroma, the better quality of the wine. If the flavor is foggy, not so clear, it indicates a lower quality wine. When I say character of the wine, I mean the ripeness of the fruit. Is the wine unripe, just ripe, overripe? How best to judge the smell of the wine? So my recommendation would be, just to smell the wine without swirling, and then the point of swirling is to release more aroma. So you incorporate more oxygen in the wine, and these aromas get more intense. Condition of the wine, like I said, wine should smell like all these aromas that I mentioned. The wine should not smell like polish, nail polish, like damp cardboard or any kind of these funky aromas. Aroma intensity, like I said, characteristic, condition. Okay. Just to mention also for the white wines, the fruit. So if the wine smells more like citrus and green and fresh, this indicates a cool climate. If the wine goes more towards peach, nectarine, or even tropical fruit like pineapple and mango, this indicates a warmer climate. Okay, so the palate or structure. When I say structure, I mean this on the slide you can see these structure elements like sweetness, acidity, tannin, alcohol, and this all leads to the body of the wine. This is the structure of the wine. So the wines can be sweet. Sweetness means dry, off dry, medium, and sweet. So what does mean dry wine? Dry wine means that all sugar that is inside the grape, it was transferred through fermentation into alcohol. There's no sugar more inside in the wine. The wine can have some sugar, then it's considered off dry. So if it has a little bit sugar that you can taste, this is off dry. Around 10 grams of sugar or a little bit less. Medium sweet will be quite noticeable, around 25, and then 40 plus grams of sugar will be considered sweet. Sweetness is determined by winemaking. Any wine can be sweet or dry. If the it's the winemaker's decision to make a dry wine or to make a sweet wine or anything in between. Acidity of the wine indicates ripeness, indicates a climate. If the wine is low in acidity, this will indicate most probably a grape variety that is genetically low in acidity. A medium acidity wine will indicate a warmer climate, and then high acidity will indicate either a cool climate or a grape variety that generally has high acidity. It has this ability to retain acidity. Tannin, low, medium, or high. We talk about tannin if we talk about red wines or orange wines. There's some grape varieties that have potential to be high in tannin. There's some grape varieties that don't potential to be high in tannin. Thickness of the grapes and some winemaking techniques determine the amount of tannin. So a Cabernet Sauvignon has the potential to be high in tannin because of the thick skin, and then the winemaker can take this grape and produce a high tannin wine. On the other hand, a Pinot Noir doesn't have this potential of high tannins, and usually the tannins with Pinot Noir will be medium to low. Alcohol of the wine also indicates ripeness of the wine. We're considering here that the wine is dry, that all the sugar is fermented into alcohol. I made here a mistake, so it's not 11% alcohol, it's actually 12. So everything below 12 and below is considered low in alcohol. Up till 13.9 is considered medium, and 14 plus percent of alcohol is considered high. If the wines are 14% alcohol, this indicates a warm climate. If the wines are below 12% alcohol, this indicates a cool climate. So all this, summarizing, sweetness, acidity, tannin, and alcohol contributes to the body of the wine. If you ever heard about the body of the wine, and if you don't understand, allow me to explain in simple terms. Usually people use this milk analogy to explain the body of the wine. Body of the wine is the mouthful that the wine creates on your palate. So if the wine tastes like very light and like skim milk and like lemon juice, also light and fresh, this is a light body wine. On the other hand, if the wine tastes full and thick and it has this waxy texture on the palate, the wine is full body. So what are the characteristics of the wine that are light body? So dry, high acidity, low to medium alcohol. Wines that have fresh fruit, did not age in oak, this is a light body wine. On the other hand, if you have a wine that is sweet, it doesn't have to be sweet, but sweetness adds to the texture of the wine, has medium acidity, has high tannin if it's a red wine, and it has high alcohol, it was most probably aged in oak, this is considered a full body wine. And everything in between is medium, and it takes a little bit of practice. Also, just for me to mention, tasting wines and becoming a good taster, it takes time. So don't get discouraged if you don't get this right away at the beginning. It takes time. So more you practice wine tasting, believe me, you will get better. When I finished my level 2, I did not know how to taste wine. I'm finishing now my diploma. And I believe I'm a better taster. I know I'm a better taster, but I understand that I can become even better. So with practice, you get better. Flavor intensity, bell pepper versus potato. Body of the wine doesn't indicate the flavor intensity. Sauvignon Blanc can be light in body, but can have pronounced flavor intensity. This is because it is aromatic grape variety that has a lot of these primary aromas. On the other hand, you can have a full-bodied, high tannin, high alcohol wine that was aged in oak, but the flavors and the aromas are dull and not well presented. Usually, especially white wines are more intense on the nose and are more defined. With red wines, if you get grapes from a very, very warm climate, you will lose that definition of aroma. So you don't actually want the super ripe grapes. You want grapes that are perfectly ripe. These grapes, have great definition, and it will present in the final wine. Flavor characteristic, palate versus nose. I love to smell wine, but I always get more flavor, more character of the wine on the palate. The reason for this is, your palate is warmer and more flavors are released when the wine is on your palate. Finish means how long does the flavor, not structure, flavor, how much flavor, how long does it stay on your palate after you drink it or you spit it. So you don't consider you don't consider acidity or alcohol or tannin or sweetness. You're just considering the flavor of the wine. So primary, secondary, and tertiary flavor. How long does it stay on your palate? If it stays just for a few seconds, it's short. If it stays more than a minute, it's long. Everything in between is going to be medium. On the end, you want to draw a conclusion about the wine, and you need to have some kind of template for this. What does it mean outstanding wine? What does it mean faulty wine. We use on WSET we use the BLITZ system. BLITZ stands for balance, length, intensity, or identifiable aromas, and complexity. Faulty means that the wine has a fault and you're not judging this wine, you're not considering it. Poor wine means that wine has a fault, but you know, you can still maybe drink it, but you know, it's not really a wine that you want to drink. Acceptable wine is wine without fault, but it's just lacking balance, length, intensity, and complexity. A good wine means that it has 2 points. So when I say 2 points, I mean 2 full points for balance, length, intensity, and complexity. And also don't consider this BLITZ system as full points. Sometimes wines are going to get half a point for balance, maybe a full point for length, and maybe half a point for intensity, but will not be no points for complexity. So a good wine will have 2 points. So a good balance, medium length, so half a point, decent medium intensity, and maybe the wine will not be complex, so no points there. A very good wine will have 3 points, 3 full points. And then outstanding wine will have all 4 points, will be a wine without any negative comment. It will be perfectly balanced with a long finish, pronounced intensity, and very precise aromas, easily to understand what is the grape and where is it coming from, and it will have primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas. Also, sometimes wine can be considered complex if it has different clusters of primary fruit. So it can have flowery aromas, it can have herbaceous, it can have citrus, it can have passion fruit. Complex doesn't always mean primary, secondary, and tertiary. Sometimes it's just primary aromas that are complex. So this is how the WSET systematic approach to tasting for level 2 looks like. Honestly, it's not that different from level 3 or level 4. You go into a little bit deeper in level 3 and level 4, but it's mostly about tannin and mostly about the conclusion. So the structure of the appearance, nose, and palate, pretty much the same for level 2 and level 4. So let's go through this, and I'm gonna clarify more some of the things that I didn't mention in the first part of the video. So the appearance, pretty much we covered everything. On the nose, we covered everything. I just want to mention on the nose. So intensity, it's I explained it, but aroma characteristics, here you are judging the development of the wine. What does mean the development of the wine? How does the wine smell like? Primary, secondary, or tertiary? If the wine smells like primary fruit, primary aromas, it will be described as youthful. If the wine has primary and secondary aromas, it will be described as developing. If the wine has primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas, the wine will be fully developed. So this is something that that is more important when you come on level 3. So for now, we're just gonna keep it at this. On the palate, we're judging sweetness, acidity, tannin, alcohol, body, flavor intensity, flavor characteristics, finish, and then the quality. We covered all this. So now I'm gonna show you the lexicon of that we use on WSET level 2. So this is not all the aromas, all the description, all the lexicon that you can use to describe the wines, but this is a great starting point, and my recommendation is start with this and then build up your wine vocabulary. So here we can see in detail how do primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas look like. So what is the vocabulary? What is the descriptions that you use to describe these aromas? So floral aromas like blossom, rose, and violet. Blossom is an aroma of aromatic white grape varieties like Viognier, like Muscat. Rose and violet, there's some red grape varieties, black grape varieties that have this aroma. Green fruit, apple, pear, gooseberry, and grape. This indicates a cooler climate, white grape varieties. Citrus fruit like grapefruit, lemon, lime, and orange. A little bit warmer climate, grape varieties. Peach, apricot, and nectarine, warmer climate grape varieties. Tropical fruit, banana, lychee, mango, melon, passion fruit, and pineapple. Warmer climate, white grape varieties. For white grape varieties, you're judging the ripeness of the fruit. This is the indication of potential grape varieties. White grape varieties there's some grape varieties like that are aromatic and have specific aromas like petrol, like gooseberries, like bell pepper, that are, instant. When you smell it, you know what is the grape. But majority of the white grapes, it's not that easy to understand what is the grape variety. You're basically just having an educated guess about it. But when you understand what grape varieties grow in certain climates, then you can associate the ripeness of the fruit with certain grape varieties and appellations. With black grape varieties, there's certain grape varieties that smell like red fruit, like Pinot Noir, for example, and there's some grape varieties that smell like black fruit, like, for example, Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is always the case. So Pinot always smells red, Cabernet always smells black. There's some grape varieties that smell a little bit black, a little bit red. Also, if there's a mix of black and red in the wine, it can indicate also a blend of the grapes. So red fruit is red currant, cranberry, raspberry, strawberry, red cherry, plum, black currant, blackberry, blueberry, black cherry, and black plum. Also, please understand this. Like I said, this is the vocabulary. Don't look at this vocabulary as aromas that are identical to the real stuff, to the real food. So when I say that Pinot Noir smells like red cherry, don't look for identical red cherry. But when you taste wine in a guided way, you'll understand, okay, this means red fruit. You'll taste a Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, this means bell pepper. So this is how you will learn all this. Don't look for that specific aromas. They're not there. This is a vocabulary. This is the vocabulary that is used to communicate what are the grape varieties. And it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of education, but it's very interesting. And when you get to taste wine, and with the right people, you'll get better and you'll enjoy tasting better. Herbal and herbaceousness, there's in white and red grapes, in black grapes, and usually indicates a cooler climate, moderate climate, or a specific grape variety. So for example, green bell pepper is a pyrazine aroma that is very specific to Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon, for example. Grass, tomato leaf, asparagus. Grass is also aroma that is considered for Sauvignon Blanc, for this pyrazine. And these aromas either indicate a specific grape variety or a cool climate. Herbal aromas, eucalyptus, mint, fennel, dill, dried herbs, also indicate a cooler climate. Spice like black and white pepper, licorice. So this is specifically for grape variety like Shiraz or Syrah, and Gruner Veltliner for white grapes. They have this specific rotondone aroma that reminds of black and white pepper. And this licorice, it's aroma for a Shiraz or Syrah from a warmer climate. Fruit ripeness, I always like to describe the ripeness of the fruit first. So is it underripe, just perfectly ripe, overripe? And this is the first thing that I say. So if I think that the wine is from a cool climate, I'll say this is a unripe or fresh lemon. If I think the wine is from a warmer climate, I will say this is a ripe or overripe blackberry or black cherry. Other whetstone and candy. Candy is a specific aroma for carbonic maceration that I'll describe in a other video. And whetstone indicates this minerality in the wine that is also a very taboo subject. But usually the wines that are from a cooler climate with high acidity and a lack of flavor are considered having this mineral aromas. Secondary aromas, 3 secondary aromas are coming from yeast. So this is the dead yeast cells that are used for fermentation. So this yeast, when it dies, when it finishes the fermentation, winemaker can use it to stay inside the wine in order to give more flavor and texture. So these aromas are biscuit, pastry, bread, toast bread, bread dough, cheese, and yogurt, and mostly these aromas are associated with champagne or traditional method sparkling wines, or some specific white wines. Malactic conversion, butter, cheese, and cream. Butter, cheese, and cream. All black grape, all red wines go through malactic conversion, but wines are too intense for us to recognize this aroma inside the wine. It is more associated with white wines. Usually wines that are higher in acidity, or wines that winemaker wants to create more richness and texture, have these aromas of butter, cream, butter, cheese, and cream, and it's usually associated with Chardonnay. Oak, it's, I think, the most easy aroma to recognize on the nose from this secondary aroma. So you will if the wine was aged in oak, you will get these aromas of vanilla, cloves, coconut, cedar, charred wood, smoked chocolate, and coffee. And then tertiary aromas, as we said, aromas that the wine develops in the bottle. So with red wines, you'll get aromas of dried fruit, leather, earth, mushroom, meat, tobacco, wet leaves, forest floor, and caramel. Red wines, dried fruit, orange, marmalade, petrol, gasoline, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and almond. And some deliberately oxidized wines like sherry have these aromas of almond, hazelnut, walnut, chocolate, caramel, coffee, and caramel. But there's also some wines that also develop this oxidized character, not because of the deliberate oxidation, but just because the wine was exposed to oxygen. So let me now show you how a description of these 4 wines would look like with using WSET Level 2 in wines. So a simple Pinot Grigio from a cool climate will be clear, pale lemon green. On the nose, it will be clean, a light aroma intensity of primary aromas like unripe apple, pear, and lemon. On the palate, it will be dry, high in acidity, medium alcohol, light-bodied, light flavor intensity with primary aromas like unripe apple, pear, and lemon. And on the conclusion, this will be acceptable to good quality wine. A complex Chardonnay from a warm climate. On the appearance, it will be clear, medium golden color. On the nose, it will be clean, pronounced aroma of primary, secondary, and potentially tertiary aromas of ripe lemon, peach, apricot, melon, pineapple. It can have a whole spectrum of these secondary aromas, and then potentially tertiary aromas as well. On the palate, it will be dry, medium acidity, high alcohol, full-bodied, pronounced flavor intensity, pronounced flavor intensity, and all the flavors that we already mentioned. And on the quality, it will be very good to outstanding quality. Simple Pinot Noir or Gamay from a moderate climate. On the appearance, it will be clear, pale to medium. You will see always on the WSET you choose one. It's not pale or medium, but I put here just for you to understand that it can be pale to medium, but you will choose one. And it will be purple or ruby in color. On the nose, it will be clean, medium intensity with primary aromas. On the palate, it will be dry, high in acidity, low in tannin, medium alcohol, a light-bodied, medium flavor intensity with primary aromas of unripe red fruit, violets, tomato leaf, and it would be acceptable to good in quality. And then the final wine, complex Cabernet Sauvignon from a warm climate. On the appearance, it will be clear, deep, garnet in color. It doesn't have to be garnet, but it can be ruby and garnet. Garnet will just indicate that definitely it will have this tertiary aromas if it's a complex wine and if it's a outstanding quality. On the nose, it will be clean, it will be pronounced of primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas. The wines on the palate will be dry, medium acidity, high in tannin, full-bodied, high alcohol, full body, pronounced flavor intensity, primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas, and it would be very good to outstanding quality. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this 14-minute video. This really shows your dedication that you want to learn about wine. Please send us any questions that you might have, and I'll see you in the next video.